Hi again, Jack Van Breen here at Guitar Showcase in San Jose, California for Totally Guitars and Guitar Showcase. I'm going to make no bones about it. I hope you'll come in and see us. Today we're going to talk about something that has always been a challenge for me as an analog kind of guy. We're going to talk about computer-based recording because if you want to get anywhere in the music business, at some point you're going to have to produce a physical media copy of what you're doing, because you're going to have a hard time getting that person to come out and see you to see if they want to hire you for their club, bar mitzvah, wedding, day on the green, what have you. You got to show them what you're all about, and a key part of that is capturing the audio. Obviously we're capturing the video here, and that's something that's become equally important, because just about everybody can produce a CD, but to get a video that shows how handsome you are, yeah, well, Larry's going to have to work on that for me. Thank you, Larry.
I'll Photoshop that.
Yeah, we'll just run that through Premiere and make me look 30 years younger. Anyway, I digress. You're going to have to produce some audio, and at this juncture, now that most of the bugs have been worked out, using a digital audio workstation, and there are many, to help you create what you put your sound in your best light. Today we're going to talk about an application called StudioOne. I happen to like it because it's mine, and it came with my PreSonus StudioLive board, and they work well together. But the Pro Tools everybody's heard about, they were kind of the first big player. Logic from Apple is also excellent. There's Cakewalk/Sonar, and I always forget the Yamaha, the Steinberg. I think it is. Anyway, there's 4 or 5 out there. There's Audacity if you don't want to pay for it, but it's a little bit more difficult to work with. There's GarageBand if you happen to have a Mac like I do. I'm going to play with that someday. So there's lots of different digital audio workstations with varying degrees of complexity. I'm sounding like a professor. I'm using multiple syllable words. That's not me. But anyway, what this allows us to do is create music. We can capture one audio track at a time. You can capture, with most of them, up to 32 tracks at a time with very little problem at all. And if you invest in serious hardware and serious software, you can capture hundreds of tracks at a time. Though, as a friend of mine said, if it takes more than 8 tracks to get your point across, you're talking too much. Kind of like 16 myself. That's what I work with mostly. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to remix some tracks that I captured at the Fountain Blues Fest after party last week here in San Jose. We had a great time, big jam, and I was able to use my StudioLive to capture 16 tracks of audio. And we're just going to kind of put it together here. We're going to create a new song. We're going to create an empty song called Key to the Highway. And we're going to point it at the files that are already existing here. Where are we? We're on my spare drive. We're going to move that little box out of the way somewhere. Oh, let's just do that. Okay, so, and I've already, sorry. I've already taken the one big, huge, 4-hour-long file and chopped it up into bits. So we now have created a song. We're going to mix the song. We don't care about, well, let's talk about this. This particular application, as many do, have some other features. It has what is called instruments, which are software instruments. So there's synthesizers, samples of drums, and various other types of sounds that you can use the built-in sequencer to create music. So you don't actually have to play a keyboard or a guitar or a bass or drums. You can use your mouse and click on buttons and write the music, all internal to the, that's way more work than I want to do. But that's capable. There's special effects that most software comes with, like reverbs and delays and time-based modification like flangers and such. And funky things like old-time telephone voice. So there's a bunch of effects, there's sounds, there's files, there's all kind of stuff. We don't care about that now, because what we're going to do right now is just put together a song and remix the tracks that were recorded live. So I now have my empty palette. I go out to Song and I import these separate audio files. All 16 of them. The program I used to capture from the StudioLive board while we're doing the show is actually called Capture, and it also captures, if you can see here, we'll put a magical pointer in later. Tracks 17 and 18 are actually the stereo mix, which is not what the audience hears, because the drummer's usually loud. Well, so is the guitar player. Primarily what you get on that is going to be vocals, maybe keys. So now we have, up here, we have all the different tracks, and I wisely, when I separated them out, I labeled them vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 3, 4, 5, guitar 1, guitar 2, harmonic amplifier, keys, bass, and then 6 tracks for drums, because there's a good drummer, I wanted to capture him. And here you can see on the guitar track we have a lot of heavy action. We recorded that pretty hot, and the harp not as much, so we're going to have to compensate for that. And in the drums you actually don't see much. This application allows me to increase the waveform size so you can actually see, there we go, and here you can see the kick, which is fairly busy. Anyway, so that's what it kind of looks like. And then we can go in and we can just start playing with it. Well, that's rather loud, so we'll turn it down a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is, what I like to do is, where's it start? Oh, it starts right there. So I can expand my viewpoint, and we're going to go down to the guitar track. And you can see right here, I have already missed the first beat. So I click there, and now I can grab all 16 tracks and move the whole thing to the first song. So now all we get is that first beat, without that full going, hey! That's not bad. By the way. Oh, wait, somebody's talking. We don't need that.
If you've got any more guitar players with guitars, we'd love to see them.
Gee, I wonder who that is.
That's with guitars. I'm renting mine for $100 a song.
Okay, we don't need to hear any of that. So I'm just taking and shortening that particular track so all that audio just disappears. Not completely, because you can hear the monitor feedback into other tracks, but that's okay. So I'll shrink it back down so I can see more of the song. Boy, that guitar is really loud. Who is that guy? There we go. So the next thing I like to do, and this is kind of fun now, I have no experience with any of the other applications, Logic, Pro Tools, Sonar. I assume they can do simple things like this, but oh. Turn that down a little bit. Okay, so what StudioLive does, which is kind of cool, is it has effects that you can insert, compressors, EQ, blah, blah, blah. But it also says, collectively within PreSonus we have like several thousand years of recording experience. And when we do our kick drum, we like it to sound like this. Which you can't really hear so well because I've got these little tiny iHome speakers, $50 at any Apple store. That actually gives us a pretty decent sound. So we went from no kick drum to snap just by picking their preset EQ and compression. And we can do the same thing on the snare. which is great, because if you want to get a good sound and you're a guitar player and you haven't spent decades moving microphones around and fiddling knobs, you just want the guitar, you want the drums to sound like drums, having somebody else pop in and go, hey, just do this. So we went from having no drums where is that? There it is. So we went from having no drums at all to having fairly present kick and snare. And we can do the same thing with the overheads. Wow, where'd that come from? Again, no cymbals to lots of cymbals.